Lumia 925 review. This is the nice new Windows Phone 8 hardware from Nokia. This is going to be an honest review of my use of this phone over the past couple weeks and how I think and feel about using it compared to, say, Android and iPhone. So stay tuned. So we're going to jump in, and I'm going to start off by saying I definitely have a love-hate relationship with Windows Phone. It certainly is one of the smoothest, most consistent, lovely operating systems that I've ever used. It is by far one of the nicest, most pleasing keyboards to type on. It is definitely something that I love looking at. I think they've done a great layout with the screen. I think they've done a really, really nice job sort of making it user-friendly. I think just everything about using Windows Phone is just nice. I love the keyboard clicks. I just like everything about using this phone. But it is a love-hate relationship, and so the hate part of it is I don't like the fact that it feels limited in terms of what I can do with customizing the home screen. I mean, granted, you can still customize the home screen, but it's just different than Android. It still, to me, feels a little bit locked down. I also don't like the fact that there's so few apps available on Windows Phone. I know people use that argument, and I'm not trying to sort of beat a dead horse or, you know, perpetuate this argument of, oh, Windows Phone doesn't have any apps. That's obviously not true. But for me, you know, two of the key apps that I really like to use are Google Voice, and just as another joking example is Words with Friends. And you know, there's no free Words with Friends app, and if you look at the reviews for the paid-for version, the paid-for version has terrible reviews. They say it's inconsistent, it doesn't work. And then Google Voice, there's no Google Voice app, and so it's difficult for me to make and receive calls in Google Voice since there's no official Google Voice app. And I mean, obviously, you know, there is a Google Voice app for iPhone, so people will say, oh, well, you know, obviously Google's not going to make an app for Windows Phone, but that's not true, because there is a Google Voice app for iPhone. But the app argument aside, or I guess I should say the app argument in addition to the argument of customization, the software is really good, and the hardware is fantastic. Nokia makes some awesome hardware. I mean, this phone is, you know, aluminum unibody. It has plastic inlaid in the back. I guess unibody is the wrong word, but aluminum sort of frame with plastic, sort of almost rubber feeling on the back. And the phone just feels phenomenal in your hand. I mean, Nokia does awesome. They're just the kings, I think, of great cell phone design. The screen on this phone is great. I'm not going to talk about specs. If you guys are familiar with my reviews, I don't talk about specs. I talk about how the phone looks, feels, operates in your hand, and how it compares to some of the other stuff on the market. Screen is phenomenal. Bright, beautiful colors. Just everything stands out. The phone runs super fast. There's no lag. There's no hint of lag anywhere in this phone at all, ever. You know, if you've used Windows Phone and compared it to Android, you know how laggy Android is. But Windows Phone just rocks, and I think that they've done a really great job integrating Windows Phone 8 with this new hardware from Nokia. The other thing that I really like about this phone is the camera. The camera is fantastic. I mean, you cannot get a better camera than the Lumia series. In fact, this has a dedicated camera button on here too, so you know you can hold the camera up, you know, half press to focus and then press to shoot, and like they just do, you know, everything about this, the camera on this phone, or excuse me, everything about using this phone is really nice. They've done a really great job in trying to get the camera to be one of the main features of this phone, and you know, be one of the things that people buy the phone for is the, you know, the great camera in the Lumia series. You know, so other things to talk about besides the camera and besides the body, volume is good. You know, everything about the hardware, software is just smooth. It's seamless. They just work. You should really check out this Lumia 925 if you're interested in Windows Phone. I think it's a great choice for the current Windows phones out there. There is a Lumia 1020 out now from AT&T that has a 41 megapixel camera. That kind of scares me a little bit. I mean, I don't think anyone needs 41 megapixels in their pocket. You know, for me, this Zeiss lens in this 925 is a great camera. It's a great phone, or excuse me, great camera phone for your pocket. I don't really think I would need that many more megapixels to go to the 1020. But hey, if you want to grab the 1020, you can. It's just that the aluminum design on this and the hardware on this guy, I think, is a little bit superior. in terms of build quality. So if we talk a little bit about the apps in this phone, apps load quickly. Everything about the phone is just nice. I just really like how this phone runs when you compare it to some of the other phones out there, like the iPhone or like Android, where things lag and you have issues with battery life or software updates. I think the phone is just really nice. I think that Windows Phone deserves a lot more credit than they actually get, and especially Nokia including a lot of these cool sort of new apps and new things into their phones, like this here Drive is actually really nice. It gives you detailed information about where you are, as well as traffic and routing. It's different than your normal sort of Google navigation or Apple Maps. But again, it's smooth. Everything about it is just different, which is probably why I like it so much. It's sort of refreshing when you compare it to Android and iPhone. And there's some other apps in here we'll just talk about real quick. Here Maps is just like here Drive, but you can actually download and pre-cache all of your maps before you actually head out, and so you don't need cellular data to go and use these maps once they've been pre-cached on the device. So it's just, I don't know, it's just nice. I really like the fact that Nokia put some time into developing these new apps for this phone, and so in my opinion, I think they're great. I think that is it probably as powerful in terms of its, the app selection on Android? No. So if you're content with sort of using maybe fewer apps or limited selection in your apps, you might be okay. Again, one of the nice things about Windows Phone as well is it has integration with with Office, which is nice. So if you are in the enterprise and you have SharePoint and Office 365 and you have SkyDrive and Outlook and things just sync and work really well with this phone, and typing on the sample document and stuff. It's just nice. I mean, it's similar to, I wouldn't say similar, it's usable. It's not like a full Office package like you'd get on, say, one of the Surface tablets. It's different than that. I mean, it's obviously a mobile phone, and so editing things is going to be a little bit more challenging, but it does work well. If we want to close this review out, the best thing I like about Windows Phone is hardware selection. Again, Nokia is one of my favorite hardware manufacturers, and smooth, buttery software that's different than, it's sort of a refreshing breath of fresh air between Android and iPhone. I really like using this phone. I don't like the fact that I feel a little bit constricted on the home screen and the app selection is a little bit not really up to what I would prefer. But if I had to use this phone every day, I would certainly enjoy it, and I would certainly be pleased with what it does for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe.